تلویزیون اسلامی ایمان
صدای ایمانداران و یکتاپرستان.
Good morning and welcome to English Lessons on Iman TV. We're going to start our lesson with a vocabulary exercise. These are the words we have studied before, but I'm bringing them in a different format to see that you remember these words. So this is filling in blank spaces. And then after that, we have a grammar lesson. In the grammar lesson, we're going to look at the simple past tense again. And then I'm going to add something new there. And that new thing is what? Using past time expressions. So we're going to work on that. And then a passage using past time in context. It's a little story in which all the verbs are in the past form. So we're going to look at that. And at the end, we're going to have a list of the irregular verbs that we studied before, but I'm reviewing them just in case you want to see them one more time. And also the most important thing is what? Learn how to spell them. So let's start our lesson with the vocabulary first. So please repeat after me together. These are not new words, but I put them in a different format so that you could review and repeat. Native language. Native language. Amusement parks. Amusement parks. Honest. Pork. Servers. Servers. Pilot. Pilot. Physician. Physician. Immigrants. Immigrants. Now, sentence number one. So what you need to do is this. Choose a word from here and use it in the blank space below. See which one will make the sentence meaningful. So you are expecting to know the meaning of these words because we studied them before. At the end, I will tell you what the meanings are. For number one, blank, come to United States from around the world. So from these 8 words, which one will fit here to say that that's the word, come to United States from around the world? Sentence number 2. Parents take their children to blank to have fun. Where do parents take their children to have fun? So there is one word on this list that make this sentence meaningful and make it grammatically correct. Sentence number 3. Pashto is Zalmai's blank. So what can you put here to make this sentence meaningful? Now, let's go to the next page. Number 4. 3 blank work in that restaurant. 3 what? Which of these words could fit in this blank? Sentence number 5. Muslims do not eat what? Which word on this list is a word that Muslims or Muslims, both pronunciation I believe are correct, cannot eat? So find the word and put it there. Number 6. Because Hila was very sick, she called her blank. Called her what? So when a person becomes very, very sick, who does he or she call? There is a word there that fits this blank and makes it meaningful. Find that word and put it there. Sentence number 7. My cousin works as a blank driver. What kind of a driver? So the word is there. Find it and put it there. Number 8. Most Africans are very what? There is one word that fits this. What is that word? Now, let me give you the answers for these questions, but I want you to have a chance to think and find the answer yourself first. Now, first, repeat these words one more time after me together. Native language. Native language. Amusement parks. Amusement parks. Honest. Pork. Servers. Pilot. Physician. Physician. Immigrants. Immigrants. Number one, come to the United States from around the world. Who comes to the United States from around the world? Which word did you choose? The correct answer is immigrants. Immigrants come to the United States from around the world. The correct word is immigrant, but it is plural form, immigrants. Number two, parents take their children to blank to have fun. Where do they take them to have fun? Which place is a fun place for children? The correct answer is amusement parks. Amusement parks. Remember we studied this word before. Amusement parks are like what? Like Disneyland is an amusement park. Sentence number three. Pashto is Zalmai's blank. What? The correct answer is native language. So native language means what? A person's first language, a person's mother tongue. It's called what? Native language. Now, let me read these sentences with correct completion, then we will move to the next page. Immigrants come to the United States from around the world. Number two, parents take their children to amusement parks to have fun. Number three, Pashto is Zalmai's native language. Next sentence. Three work in that restaurant. Three what? The correct answer is three servers. Three servers. So servers are what? The people that they work in a restaurant. They bring you food, they clean the table, they take your order. That's called what? That's called server. Number five, Muslims do not eat what? The correct word is what? Pork, which is the meat of a pig. Muslims are not supposed to eat that one, right? You all know that. So Muslims do not eat pork is the correct word to use here. Because Hina was very sick, she called her physician. Physician. Physician means what? Medical doctor. Medical doctor. That's what it means. Let me read these sentences with correct completion. Three servers work in that restaurant. Muslims do not eat pork. Because Hina was very sick, he called her physician. Sentence number 7. My cousin works as a blank. Which kind of driver? The correct answer is what? Cab driver. Do I have a cab driver there? I probably don't. Okay. Number 8. Most Afghans are very what? Honest. Honest means what? People that they tell the truth. Most Afghans, and that applies to most people, are honest. But there are some people in every group that what? That are not honest. And with the word honest, you write it H-O-N-E-S-T, but H is silent. You don't pronounce it. You say honest, not honest. Okay? So H is silent. You do not pronounce that one. Okay, now let me read these sentences, and then I will read the words and discuss the meaning, and then we will move to the next page. My cousin works as a cab driver. Most Afghans are very honest. Now, the words, native language. Native language means what? The language a child learns first from his mother, or the person's mother tongue. In Afghanistan, for most people, Dari is a native language. For most people, Pashto is a native language. But there are other native languages in Afghanistan as well, like Pashai, like Azaragi, and many other native languages. But native language means what? A person's mother tongue, first language. Amusement parks are places that people go for fun. For example, places that, for example, people go to Disneyland. Disneyland is an example of what? Amusement park. Water World is another example of what? Amusement park. Honest, a person who tells the truth. Okay? Pork is the meat of a pig. Server, people that they what? That they work in a restaurant. They clean the table, they take your order, they bring you food. These people are called what? Servers. Pilot is, of course, somebody who does what? Who flies a plane. And physician is what? A medical doctor. Immigrants are people that they move from their country and move to another country to stay and live there. Like there are many Afghan immigrants in the United States. Actually, Afghan immigrants are all over the world, are in almost every country on earth. There is what? Afghan immigrant. Okay, we migrated to many parts of the world. Now let me read these words one more time. Please repeat after me together. Native language, amusement parks, honest, pork, server, pilot, physician, immigrants. In this part, I'm going to give a little bit of review of what? Of the simple past form that we had in lesson 8. And this one is what? You use this when you talk about something that happened in the past. Like you say, Tom, the present form, actually, I'm trying to teach you the past form, but review the simple present tense. Simple present tense is something that what? That we use again and again and again and repeat that again and again. Like you say what? Tom calls Jim every day. Something that you do every day. You use simple present tense. Tom calls Jim, or we call Jim every day. Or you watch TV every day. For something that you do every day, every month, every hour, you use simple present tense. For present progressive tense, we also did this in lesson 8. We use what? We use a form of be, then verb, then ing. Like you say what? Tom is calling Jim now. I'm teaching now. You are listening now. That's what? Present progressive tense. We studied that. And then we also studied what? Simple past tense. That you put ed with the verb to make it simple past tense. Like you say, Tom called Jim yesterday. We did all of this in lesson 8. So something that started in the past, ended in the past, we use simple past tense. So these were examples in lesson 8 that we had, like Ahmad washed the dishes yesterday. Something in the past, he did that, you put ed. We copied the forms. Copy. The rule was what? That you change Y to I and you put ed. The plane landed safely. So again, landed. They enjoyed. You put ed. This time you don't change Y to I. Why? Because before Y you have O. O is a vowel letter. You don't do that. You only change Y to I if the letter before the Y is a consonant. The bus stopped here. So stopped becomes double P. And then you thanked the guest. You thank the guests means what? Means you thank them. So ed is added with the verb. Another thing that we did in lesson 8 was what? That these are the rules. You put ed with most verbs. Like washed, washed, enjoy, enjoyed, faxed, needed. Bake, for example. If the word already has a D in E, you just put D there. And and if there is a Y before which there is a consonant, you change Y to I and you add ed. We studied this before. Also, if there is a consonant, a vowel between two consonants, we double the final consonant. Like plan, plan. It's L-A-N, consonant, vowel, consonant, you make it planned. Shop, sh is one sound. So consonant, vowel, consonant, you make it what? Shopped. And prefer, preferred. Snowed, so do not double W or X. So you just put ED. Now, the lesson I'm going to teach you new, that was a review. The lesson that's part of lesson 23 is using time expressions at the end of a sentence where there is a past tense. A past time expression tells when something happened. We can use a past time expression at the beginning of the sentence or at the end of the sentence. Here are some examples. Basir traveled to Canada last month. Basir, the name of the person, a person, my friend, he traveled to Canada last month. You can put the last month. Or you can bring last month at the beginning of the sentence. You could say what? Last month, Basir traveled to Canada. Now, here, the only difference is this. If you bring the time expression at the beginning of the sentence, you have to put a comma after it. That's why you say last month, comma, Basir traveled to Canada. But if you mention the time expression at the end of the sentence, you don't need a comma. So this rule only applies in writing when you write. When you speak, it doesn't matter. You just pause. You say, last month, Basir traveled to Canada. But you could also say what? Basir traveled to Canada last month. Depends. Next sentence. Tanya went to a library yesterday. So yesterday is the time expression at the end of the sentence. Or you could bring it at the beginning of the sentence. You could say what? Yesterday, comma, Tanya went to a library. So this comma is necessary when you write. When you put anything before the subject, you need to separate that with a comma. That's the rule. Another thing that I want you to, another time expression is what? The word last and ago. Where do you use last and when do you use ago? Use an amount of, you use this with an amount of time plus ago. Like you say, Qasim left home 10 minutes ago. See? 10 minutes ago. 10 minutes is an amount of time. You put ago after it. Or my mother died many years ago. May Allah bless her. Many years ago. So many years is an amount of time. You put ago after it. Use last plus a period of time as a time expression. I taught past tense on Iman TV last month. You could say last month, last week, last year, but you cannot say last day, but you could say last night, okay? He graduated from college last summer. So last summer, last winter, okay? These are the rules. Now what we're going to do, we're going to use them in the context of a paragraph. I'm going to read a paragraph and I want you to think which one can you use in this paragraph. Blank here, Rahman took several business trips. In June, he was in India for 2 weeks. After that, he went to Iran. It was not his first trip to Iran. Rahman was in Iran in 1998 and again 6 years, blank. Which one do you use, last or ago? Rahman traveled to China, blank, August. It was not his first trip to China either. He was in China 2 years, blank. Which one can you use, ago or last? Then, blank, winter, he traveled to England to meet his aunt. Rahman loves traveling. Now let me read this with the correct completion. Now, but I want you to help me with the completion. So for the first one, what can you say? Do you say ago year or last year? The correct answer is last year. Last year, Rahman took several business trips. In June, he went to India for 2 weeks. After that, he went to Iran. It was not his first trip to Iran. Rahman was in Iran in 1998 and again 6 years. Which one do you use? Ago or last? The correct answer is 6 years ago. Rahman traveled to China blank August. What do you say? Last August. It was not his first trip to China either. He was in China 2 years ago. Then, last winter, he traveled to England to meet his aunt. Rahman loves traveling. So this teaches us that you use last before the amount of time, and ago comes after the amount of time. Before, after. Okay? Let me read this one more time and then we move to another activity. Last year, Rahman took several business trips. In June, he was in India for 2 weeks. After that, he went to Iran. It was not his first trip to Iran. Rahman was in Iran in 1998 and again 6 years ago. Rahman traveled to China last August. It was not his first trip to China either. He was in China 2 years ago. Then last winter, he traveled to England to meet his aunt. Rahman loves traveling. Now, let's move to the next page and next activity. The next activity is, it's a reading passage. So it's basically using the simple past tense in context of a passage. So what I want you to do is, what? We will read this together. So I will read it, you follow along, and then you will see which of these words are what? The verbs, the past form, and then what? Which ones are the time expressions, okay? So it says, let's read the following article and see how simple past is used in paragraphs. Please pay attention to simple past tense verbs and underline the past tense and circle the time word. Circle is you draw a circle around it. Underline is you draw a line under it. So that's what we're going to do. Here is the paragraph. Dr. Martin Luther King was a great leader in the United States. Dr. King was born in Atlanta, Georgia in 1929. After he got married, he moved to Alabama. He found a job in a church. During that time, in many areas of the United States, black and white students did not study in the same school. They were separated. Black people also had to sit in the back of a bus, and they had to give up their seat to white people. In public places such as parks, restaurants, etc., blacks had to use separate restrooms. Many restaurant owners did not allow black people to eat there. Dr. King fought for the right of blacks and for the equality and justice for all Americans. He was in jail many times as a result of his activities. In 1964, Congress passed a law and gave equality to all Americans. In 1983, Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, January 15, became a national holiday. Now what we need to do is this. We read this together. Now we need to look at each paragraph again and see what are the verbs, and underline those verbs because they're all in past form. Here is the passage again. Please look at the first paragraph. Dr. Martin Luther King was a great leader in the United States. Dr. King was born in Atlanta, Georgia in 1929. After he got married, he moved to Alabama. He found a job in a church. Now look at this paragraph. Which one is the verb? I will show you the first one. Was. Dr. King was a great leader. Which one is the other one? Again, was born. Dr. King was born. So this is another form of the verb. And then what? He got married. Got. Get. Got is what? The got is the verb over here, the past form. And then what? He moved to Atlanta. And then he found a job. See, in a very short paragraph, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 verbs. Okay? So was born, moved, got, and found. Let's look at the next paragraph, which is rather longer. During that time, in many areas of the United States, black and white students did not study in the same school. They were separated. Black people also had to sit in the back of a bus, and they had to give up the seat to white people. In public places, such as parks, restaurants, etc., black had to use separate restrooms. Many restaurant owners did not allow black people to eat there. Now let's see which verbs can we find here. Students did not study. This whole thing is what? The verb. The other one is what? They were. Separated is what? It's more like an adjective here, but the word is the verb. They had to sit. Had to sit, the whole thing is the verb. But sit is the verb, had to is the auxiliary here. And then what? Had to give up. Give up is the verb, but had to give up makes it past tense here. And then what? And then had to use. And then finally, did not allow. Remember, allow is one of those words we studied. It means giving permission. And then the time expressions are what? 1929 is one time expression. And then what? During that time is another time expression. Time expression, see, 1929 is what? A long, long time ago. That's why everything is what? In the past tense. During that time means in the past time. That's why everything else is what? In the past tense. The next page, Dr. King fought for the right of the blacks and for the equality and justice for all Americans. He was in jail many times as a result of his activities. So what are the verbs here? Fought. So remember, we did these irregular verbs. Fight, fought. Fight, fought is the past tense. And then what? He was in jail as a result of his activity. Was is another verb. In 1964, Congress passed a law and gave equality to all Americans. Two verbs, pass and what? Gave. Both of them are past tense. Pass means pass, ed makes it regular. And also gave is the past tense of what? Give. G-I-V-E becomes G-A-V-E. In 1983, Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, January 15, became a national holiday. So became is what? The verb. The time expressions are in 1964, long, long time ago. That's why everything is in past. What's another time expression? 1983. That's another time expression. And then January 15 is another time expression. So we need to, whenever you talk about something that everything happened in the past, we need to use what? Past tense and past time expression. That's why it's very, very important that you learn the correct spelling and pronunciation of these irregular verbs that I have been teaching you for the last so many weeks. Now we're going to move to another activity. This other activity is what? answering question about the paragraph that we just read about Dr. King. So I believe I'm going to ask you something like 8 questions, and I want you to find the answers. Question number 1. Who was Dr. Martin Luther King? From what you read, basically we read it 2 times. If somebody asks you, who is Dr. King? What can you say? Number 2, where was he born? Where was he born? The place that he was born. What was the name of that city? What did he do after he got married? Remember, he got married, then he moved somewhere, and he found a job. What kind of a job did he find? Did black and white students study together then? Means when Dr. King was there and working and alive? Did they study together? You give me the answer yes or no. Where did the black people sit on the bus? Where did they sit on the bus? We read that. Was Dr. King in jail? Jail is what? Prison. When people break laws, they go to jail. Did he break any law that he went to jail? Was it fair to put him in jail? What happened in 1964? What happened means what? What took place? What happened to Dr. King? What happened in 1983? Now let's look at the answers. Who was Dr. Martin Luther King? You hear a lot of streets are named what? Dr. Martin Luther King Street. So who was he? Why is he so famous? The answer is what? He was a great leader of the United States. So he was a very, very good leader in the United States. Where was he born? The name of the city? The answer is what? He was born in Atlanta, Georgia. And what did he do after he got married? He moved to Alabama. And what did he found a job where? In a church. Did black and white students study together at that time? No, they studied in separate schools. Black and white could not study in the same place. Let me read the questions and answers, and then you'll move to the next page. Who was Dr. Martin Luther King? He was a great leader of the United States. Where was he born? He was born in Atlanta, Georgia. What did he do after he got married? He moved to Alabama. Did black and white students study together then? No, they studied in separate schools. Where did the black people sit on the bus then? Means during Dr. King's life, where did they sit, the black and white? I mean, where did the black people sit? The correct answer is what? They sat in the back of the bus. See, sit, sat is the past form. Was Dr. King in jail? Did they put him in prison? The answer is what? Yes, they did. Why? Because he was fighting for the right of the people. He was in jail many times. What happened in 1964? In 1964, Congress passed a law and gave equality to all Americans. What happened in 1983? In 1983, Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, so January 15th became what? A national holiday. And I want you to look at these, the way that I wrote these sentences. Look at sentence number 4. I said, in 1964, comma. So 1964 is what? A time expression. So when you use a time expression before the sentence, before the subject, you must use a comma. Look at sentence number 8. What happened in 1988? See, in 1983 in the question, there is no comma. But when you give it the answer, in 1983, comma. Why comma? Because the time expression is mentioned first before the subject. That's the rule. Now let me read these questions and answers, and then we'll move to the next page. Where did the black people sit on a bus then? They sat in the back of the bus. See, sit, sat, past tense. Was Dr. King in jail? Yes, he was in jail many times. See, is, was. What happened in 1964? In 1964, Congress passed a law and give equality to all Americans. Passed, ed, makes it past tense, and gave equality. See, give, gave. So you change I to A, and you also change the pronunciation. The first form is what? Give. The past form is what? Gave, A. What happened in 1983? In 1983, Dr. King's birthday, January 15, became a national holiday. Now we're going to move to the next page. The next page is what? These verb forms that we studied before, but now I'm reviewing those forms because I really want you to remember not only the form and meaning, but also the correct spelling. If you didn't get a chance for the first time, now the second time you see them, and I really want you to what? To practice, practice, practice. I think in one of the languages I speak, it says, practice makes perfect. So if you keep practicing your English will be perfect, okay? Or for that matter, anything you practice, you get to the stage of perfection, okay? So here are the verbs. These are very simple words. I really want you to know: build, burn, buy, and catch. So what is the past tense of build? Belt. And the past participle? Belt. What is the past tense of burn? Is what? Burned or burnt. D or T. And what? Burned or burnt, the same form. Buy, bought, bought. Catch, caught, caught. And then number 5, choose. The past tense is chose. The past participle? Chosen. Come, came, come. Cost, cost, cost. Cut, cut, cut. Dig, dug, dug. And finally, dive, dived or dove, and then what? Dived. So please repeat after me one more time. Build, built, built. Burn, burned, burnt. Buy, bought, bought. Catch, caught, caught. Choose, chose, chosen. Come, came, come. Cost, cost, cost. Cut, cut, cut. Dig, dug, dug. Dive, dived, dove, and dived. I believe I explained it last time that this word dove, if you D-O-V-E, if you pronounce it dove, this is the past tense of dive. If you pronounce it dove, which is also a correct pronunciation, this means a kind of bird. So the same word could be pronounced differently and could have different meaning. Now what we have is what? Some sentences in which you could choose one of these words to use. The words are build, burn, buy, catch, and choose. And we did this in lesson 9. That's why I put that. So this is not a new one. So I'm reviewing this for you. So you need to use the correct form of this form here. So you need to choose the right word and then the right form. The children, what? Expensive toys last week. Which word will make sense here? The children what? chose expensive toys last week. Choose, chose. Because it was last week, you have to use what? The past form. These workers are blank a new bridge now. Right now, this moment. So you say what? They are building a new bridge now. And actually, I put are there that really dictates that you must use what? The verb ing. You cannot use any other forms. Jess, a terrible cold last week. Just what? Caught a terrible cold last week. Bob, a lot of groceries every week. Bob what? Buys a lot of groceries every week. What is groceries? You remember the meaning of that? It's the food, the vegetables, the fruit that you buy from what? From supermarkets every week. That's called groceries or groceries. So there's two pronunciations for that. Big cars, a lot of fuel all the time. So the answer is what? They burn a lot of fuel all the time. Let me read these sentences with correct completion. The children chose expensive toys last week. These workers are building a new bridge now. Jess caught a terrible cold last week. Bob buys a lot of groceries every week. Big cars burn a lot of fuel all the time. Now let's go to the next page. And here I have the words, again, same type of exercise. You need to choose the right word and use the correct form. The words are what? Come, cost, cut, dig, and drive. So let me read the first the sentences and then you will come with the correct form. Our teacher blank to class on time every day. Which one would you use here? These drivers, big trucks every day. What? Which one is the right word? It's every day. Jim wants to plant a tree. He blank a hole now. John, the paper with a pair of sharp scissors now. These new cars blank more next year. Again, remember, this is a review lesson for you. I'm bringing back to your attention because I really want you to learn what? The correct spelling of these words and the correct pronunciation. So number one, our teacher comes to class on time. Why comes? Because it's every day and our teacher is singular. For singular, you have to put S or ES with the verb. Number two, these drivers, big trucks every day. So what's the right word? It's every day. And drivers is what? Plural. You need to say what? These drivers drive big trucks every day. Jim wants to plant a tree. He, a hole, and now. He what? He is digging a hole now. Digging. Why? Because of now. John, the paper with a pair of sharp scissors. So, what do you do with the paper? With a scissor. You cut the paper with a scissor. But because it is now, you have to say what? Cut. But remember, the spelling of cut, it is C-U-T. But because you add ing and there is a consonant between two vowels, you have to double the final consonant. So cutting. He is cutting the paper with a pair of sharp scissors. These new cars will cost more next year. So will cost more because of next year, you have to use what? A future form. Now let me read these sentences with the correct completions. Our teacher comes to class on time every day. The drivers drive big trucks every day. Jim wants to plant a tree. He's digging a hole now. John is cutting the paper with a pair of sharp scissors now. These new cars will cost more next year. So we're going to end our lesson today here, but this lesson is live. You're welcome to call and ask your questions if you have any. I'll be glad to answer your questions. You can ask your question in Farsi or Pashto, and I'll be glad to answer your question in Farsi or Pashto, whichever language you choose, or in English and explain the thing. So I think the phone numbers are on the TV screen. You're welcome to use that and call, and I'll be glad to answer. If you miss the opportunity to call now, you can call later if you want with the numbers on the screen. بیننده های بسیار محترم تلویزیون ایمان، درس امروز ما به همینجا به پایان رسید. شما را تا هفته آینده به خداوند متعال بسپارم. من فعلا به استودیوی تلویزیون ایمان هستم. اگر شما کدام سوال یا پیشنهادی داشته باشین، میتونین که با نمره تلفنی که برای پرده تلویزیون شماست با استفاده از اون نمرات تلفن با تلفن بکنین. ما حاضر هستم سوالهای شما را به فارسی، به پشتو، به انگلیسی جواب بگویم. و اگر شما کدام پیشنهادی داشته باشین در قسمت از این پروگرام، پیشنهادهای شما را بالای اردو دیده تا جایی که امکان داره اونا را ما البته پیاده خواهد کردیم و تطبیق خواهد کردیم. بر ترتیب ما کدام نمره را نمیبینم که اینجا روشن باشه. معلوم میشه که شما شاید بعدا تلفن بکنین. بر ترتیب بازم شما را به خداوند در دو عالم میسپارم تا هفته آینده. خدا حافظ.